I have designed a trip here to the northeastern peninsula of Hokkaido called Shiretoko. The peninsula is on the northeastern side of Hokkaido, and the word Shiretoko comes from the indigenous Ainu word of Siretok, which means the place where the earth protrudes. This is one of the most remote regions in Japan, and much of the peninsula is only accessible on foot or by boat. The peninsula is best known as the home of Japan's largest population of brown bears. It's famous as having one of the densest brown bear habitats in the world. The theory, to my understanding, as to why so many brown bears can live in such a small area is because of the diversity of the habitats. So you have coastlines, and these coastlines will become Alpine zones the further inland that you go into the mountains. So it means that there's a wide variety of food sources through the year. Anyway, we're going to be on bikes, so we are of course hoping not to meet any bears, especially on bikes, as we're going to be somewhat heavily laden. If I do have to dismount my bike, I know that I'm not very fast in cleats. Another highlight will be Lake Mashu, which is a little bit more inland, and it is a volcanic caldera lake. The plan is to drive from a few different locations in Hokkaido to spend the first evening at Lake Akan. Lake Akan is famous as having what is called marimo, or lake balls, which grow on the bottom of the lake. Once I arrive there a few videos from now, I will show you what the marimo mascot looks like. There is only one other place in the world that has this type of phenomenon, and that is Iceland. I have to drive to the small township of Teshikaga, and this looks to be the most convenient start point for the loop ride. It is a short 40 kilometers drive. We will have 4 cycling days to complete the trip. Anyway, I usually look for a michi no eki, in Japanese, or in English, a road station where I can park the car for a few days. What I first like to do in making a route is to come up with an overview as to the overall distance of the trip and how the days can be broken down. I'm not looking in detail at taking back roads, as I'll do this afterwards once I have a clearer picture of the daily distances. So for this trip we will start from Teshikaga and we will take the back roads to the coast. Once we are on the coast we will go to Raus, which is a fishing town on the western side of Shiretoko. The route will then cross over to the eastern side of the peninsula, and then we will continue around the coast, anti-clockwise, looping back and passing by Lake Mashu to Teshikaga. So you can see here that the distance is 270 kilometers. So if we divide that by 4, we'll be looking at 70 kilometer days. It may not work out exactly that way because it will depend on where the accommodations are located along the route and whether there will be availability. That's always the big question, as some of these accommodations are pretty small. So I've gone ahead and found some available accommodations, which means this is how the days will break down. On the first day, it will be a 106 kilometer distance route to the first accommodation. Then a relatively short 41 kilometers to the eastern side of Shiretoko. I don't mind this because we have to cycle over the pass, which is approximately 800 vertical meters. 2 shorter middle days gives us some time to do a little bit of hiking around Shiretoko. This is the Shiretoko Five Lakes area that has a 3 kilometer walk. And then also there is an elevated 800 meter walk where there will be a possibility to see bears foraging for food. Last time I was there we saw 2 bears, luckily from the safety of the walkway. Anyway, we'll be staying at a hot spring hotel here that has a number of outdoor natural springs in the forest. So it's always a nice way to finish the ride with perhaps a beer and soaking in the nice thermal springs. The third day is around 60 kilometers and we'll be staying at a small town that I don't really know much about, apart from the fact that it is conveniently located for us to stay for the last night. This is another hot spring hotel, and anyway, we'll be sure to be finishing in the hot springs 2 days in a row. The last day is a fairly short one and only 50 kilometers, but the plan will be to go to Lake Mashu only if it's clear and we can see the lake. I've been there on 2 previous occasions and have been lucky enough to see it clear, but it is well known that it does often have cloud over the lake as well. If it's cloudy, we will probably take a more direct route back to Teshikaga, and then we'll be back at the car. So that is the basic route. You can see that the first riding day is a lot longer than the other days, but I'm not too concerned about this as it is largely flat. Again, this was due to many hotels not being available during that period. You can watch the next video where I'll be going into more detail about how I will route the first day's ride, as well as showing you how the scenery and roads look once we are actually out riding the bikes and on the route. Look forward to seeing you back next time.